Okay, so it is 4 o'clock Hawaiian Standard Time, which is what, 9:30? No? Or what time is it there in India, Shanti?
7:30 a.m.
Oh, 7:30. Okay, good. So actually, it is not quite Losar yet here in Hawaii. But as Lama Zopa Rinpoche has mentioned, the merit multiplying days of these first 15 days of Losar, actually, it should be off of the time in India. So I think, I'm not sure any of you are on the US West Coast, or if anyone's in Tahiti or somewhere where it's still not quite Losar. But don't worry, you still get the 100 million merit multiplying of these 15 days. Okay, so we have a lot of housekeeping. It's a little bit confusing at first. So there should be a few things that you should have downloaded by now. And well, I don't know the name of the actual files, but one is the preliminaries to sutra reading, and then you should have the actual Vajra Cutter text, and then you should have the Vajra Cutter dedication by Nippon Rinpoche. There's another text called the dedication chakra, the mantra to multiply the benefits of recitation. And then there's the dedications for teachings during the COVID crisis that Lama Zopa Rinpoche also put together. Okay, so what is that? 5 files. Okay, do you all have them? Wonderful. Okay, so now we're working on the perfection of wisdom. So first we have to make it a little bit difficult by having all these different file names and different places to download. Okay, so first let's open up the preliminaries to sutra reading. And so these were actually taken from the appendices of a text put together on the Sangata Sutra, which is another very precious and powerful sutra. So in Appendix B, which is the first page of the file that we put together, then it has some general guidelines and information about how to go about the sutra reading. So let's go through that a bit quickly, and then for subsequent times when we do recitation of the sutra, then we'll know. Okay. Oh, there we go. All right. So yeah, you can read along with me. It's there on the screen. So when we recite the text, we are offering our bodies to allow the Sangata Sutra, or in this case, the Vajra Cutter Sutra, to manifest in the world in its fullest form as physical sound, as verbal expression, and as mental content. So reciting the sutra can be seen as an offering to Buddha and to the sutra itself as a form of purification and as a way to bring all the benefits of the sutra to ourselves and others who may be within earshot. Okay, so some of you might have noticed I'm here sitting outside in my mother's backyard. I'm not trying to show off the view I have, but the neighbor up there, they have a few dogs, and the neighbor below, they actually feed the ducks. And so there's a lot of ducks that come. There's a lot of birds that come in the yard. So it's very good when you recite to have other sentient beings in the space around you. So if you have pets, it's very good to bring them into the room now when we're about to recite. Okay. So the Sangata Sutra or the Vajra Cutter Sutra, any sutra can be recited at any time and any place, but following some basic guidelines can make the activity more beneficial and enjoyable. The sutra can be recited in any language. Okay, so this is talking about the Sangata Sutra, but also the Vajra Cutter Sutra is translated into many languages. I hope you have you've seen the FPMT page where it has the translations in a few other languages. And just so you know, while we recite together here, I'll be reciting in English, but if you're more comfortable in another language other than English, you can recite in whatever language you choose, okay? There is no prerequisite for reciting, no initiation, transmission, teaching, or permission are required. Anyone can recite at any time. So while that is true, I did send out to the people who have signed up for the Vajra Cutter commentary that Lama Zopa Rinpoche has given a oral transmission of the sutra, and we have made that available to everyone. And if you already have Lama Zopa Rinpoche as one of your teachers, it's very good to receive the oral transmission from him. In general, it is said when you take an oral transmission of a sutra, which is basically from the time of the Buddha. So the Buddha recited the sutra to a certain number of disciples, and then those disciples recited to their disciples, and so on and so forth, up until the present day. There has been an unbroken lineage of master to disciple. And then it is said when one receives this oral transmission, or yung in Tibetan, then the benefits are mind-boggling. One is then when you later engage in studying the sutra or meditating on the sutra, then one can achieve realization more easily. And then there's the story, I think many of you know, about Arya Asanga's, Vasubandhu's disciple, Lodra Tempa, who was a pigeon in his previous life in the cave where Asanga was reciting the Abhidharma Kosha. The Abhidharma Kosha being, one of the 5 great treatises that we study at the big Tibetan monasteries. And since Vasubandhu was reciting this many times, the pigeon had the imprints upon hearing these words over and over again. And so it is said when the pigeon died and then was reborn as a human in his next life, he then sought out Vasubandhu and became his disciple. And then it is said that he actually surpassed Vasubandhu in terms of knowledge in the Abhidharma. Okay? So similarly, even though we can't understand all the meanings of the sutra now, just by receiving the oral transmission, and then every time we engage in the text, meaning to recite it, to reflect upon it, to think about the meaning, to receive commentary and so forth, we're getting more and more imprints about emptiness, about the sutra, so that later it'll become easier for us to gain a realization into the meaning and realize emptiness. Okay. Then in a more sort of near-term basis, then it is said that after you receive the oral commentary, the oral transmission of the sutra, then the merit of having recited the sutra then multiplies 100 times. Okay. All right. So next, recite out loud. This is very important. Okay. So the idea is reciting is to reproduce the sutra with our body, speech, and mind. For that, reciting requires us to use our own vocal cords, even if we recite quietly. Okay. So that means, let's say you're somewhere and you can't be so loud, then at least to, make some audible sound, like even if it's kind of a whisper, it's very good that you are producing a sound. But if there are other sentient beings within earshot, then it's very good that they are able to hear. Okay, so I'm going to keep an eye out for my neighbor's dogs. Sometimes they come over to the fence, and since they don't know me, I haven't been back here to my mother's house in 5 years. These are new dogs I haven't met before. So sometimes when I'm in the backyard, they bark at me. So when that happens, I will recite it a little bit louder for them. Okay. So then the sutra itself describes the vast benefits received by those whose ear the sutra reaches, even without understanding. And then Lama Zopa explains, if you don't read the sutra out loud, then you're cheating yourself and missing the chance to create the merit of speech. Okay, so then it's good to place your palms together in prostration while reciting, as if you might if Buddha were addressing you directly. And right now I'm hearing a little bit of water in the background, so make sure all the participants have their microphones muted if you're not me. Okay. I mean, it's good someone's washing their hands. Remember, His Holiness mentions that before he comes to, read a pecha, he always washes his hands to show respect for the sutra. So this unknown person is probably just doing that. So in general, it's very good. All right. So people find it most effective to recite the sutra all at once rather than doing partial recitations or dividing the recitation into several sessions, different sessions. Okay. However, since there are tremendous benefits to reciting even one verse from the Sangata or the Vajra Cutter, when it is not possible to do complete recitations, it is still extremely beneficial to recite when one can, as many pages as one can each time. So here, in our group recitation sessions, we will recite the Vajra Cutter Sutra in its entirety one time. And we will be doing several of these sessions over the next couple of weeks. But by all means, don't think that if we're not doing a group session on YouTube Live that you don't recite the sutra. So especially why we're doing these in this time is these next 15 days, the so-called days of miracles, the 15 first days of the Tibetan New Year, the Lunar New Year, is 100 million merit multiplying days. So we really have to take advantage to accumulate as much merit as we can and purify as much negativities as we can in these 15 days of the new year. And then if we do a good job, then it's almost like, well, not that we can really relax, but we've definitely set ourselves up to accumulate the causes for success in our whatever kind of projects that we're going to undertake for this year, and hopefully put ourselves on the fast track to gaining realizations of liberation and enlightenment. Okay, so many people who have recited with others report that they find this more powerful than reciting alone. Indeed, the merit generated by group activities far outweighs the merit we can generate individually. Okay, so what I've heard is that, in a group, let's say there are 100 of us, then I've actually heard that each of the individual person that is reciting in the group, they gain the merit of having recited 100 times. Okay, so we're going to have to do a little bit of math soon, but when we take the oral transmission, that's 100 times multiplying. And then when we recite together, if there's 100 of us on the Zoom talk and on the YouTube, then that's more multiplication. And then we have the multiplication from the days of miracles. So it really is unbelievable, powerful activity that we're doing here together. So by all means, on subsequent sessions, you can also, invite your friends, tell them to tune in as well. And we can really do something quite beneficial together for ourselves, for all sentient beings, for the flourishing of Dharma, for our Guru's long lives. Okay? All right, so now the basic practice for reciting. Okay? So there are specific ways to set the motivation when reciting sutras, and there are also general ways to motivate for any virtuous practice. First, the general. So before we begin reciting, sit quietly, settle your mind, and then let your heart fill with love and compassion toward all other sentient beings. With a wish to be able to offer them all that would bring them peace and lasting happiness, and to take away all their sufferings, make a determination to dedicate your recitation to developing the inner qualities to allow you to do that. All right. So I think many of you will know what that means, right? But just a little bit of a review. So compassion in the Buddhist context is the wish that others be free from suffering, and love, or metta, maitri, is the wish that others have happiness. So since the attainment of happiness or suffering comes from creating the causes, then here, when we do the four immeasurables, we always say, may all sentient beings have happiness and the cause of suffering, and the cause of happiness, and may all sentient beings be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. Okay. So when we, in our current state, if we want to benefit sentient beings, then we don't just want them to have the kind of temporary conditions like giving food for those who are hungry, but even more beneficial is to allow them to practice virtue and to purify previously accumulated non-virtue that will then set up their future to have better sort of karma that then will ripen as happiness and happy experiences and a minimization of the suffering in the future. But ultimately, right, until sentient beings are liberated from samsara, then they're going to experience one kind of samsaric suffering or another. And so really, if we want to help them be free from suffering, we need to teach them how to be free of all the causes of suffering, which it means that we have to teach them how to realize emptiness. And in order to do that, we ourselves need to realize emptiness, right? And so then we should also think about that we're doing this this sutra reading in general, yes, to achieve enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. And in particular, we're going to reflect on this Prajñāpāramitā Sutra so that we can quickly attain the realization of emptiness, so that we can lead all of the sentient beings to do the same thing. Okay? So next, these three contemplations are recommended for whenever you recite teachings of the Buddha in the Mahayana tradition. Okay, so think that you are reciting the Sangata, or here the Vajra Cutter Sutra, to all the beings in the place where you are, and to all the beings in the six realms. In fact, we're always surrounded by others, so you can extend your thoughts to all those in the surrounding areas, countries, and continents. Visualize that you're reciting directly to them for their benefit. So some of you might know, it's in the Dorje teachings, but when we take refuge, then we visualize, as it were, like we're on the top of a mountain, and then on the sides of the mountain and all around us are all the sentient beings of the six realms, okay? And we visualize them in human form, and we visualize that as we, well, in the Dorje, it's as we take refuge, but here in this case, as we recite the sutra, then all the sentient beings are also reciting along with us. Okay? All right. And then we can think, number two, think that you're receiving the words directly from the Buddha. Use your imagination to generate a strong sense that the Buddha is actually teaching you the sutra directly. Okay? So you can also do that. You visualize in the space in front the Buddha, and the Buddha is teaching you, giving this Sangata Sutra, the Vajra Cutter Sutra to you now. And you can also do like that. And then think as you hear each word recited, the meaning is actualized in your mind as you gain perfect understanding. Okay, so you can do a combination of those three, right? And just to keep things a bit interesting as you recite. So, one thing, when you think that you're reciting and you're giving the sutra to all the sentient beings in the space around you, it becomes actually practicing charity of Dharma to all sentient beings. So that's something good to keep in mind. Okay, so that is the sort of general guide to reciting sutra, any sutra. All right, so now the Appendix C, and these, the Appendix B, we're not going to do in subsequent readings, but Appendix C, we will do, okay? So let's just start by, as it said in the last appendix, to just refresh our bodhicitta motivation, thinking that the purpose of my life is to benefit all sentient beings. And in particular, in order that I may be able to free all the sentient beings from the oceans of samsaric suffering and lead them to the highest state of enlightenment, I myself must achieve the state of enlightenment. And in order to do that, I need to purify my mind of all the obscurations and complete the vast accumulations of merit and transcendental wisdom. And therefore, I'm going to engage in this profound sutra reading of the Vajra Cutter Sutra here today. So now visualizing all the sentient beings in the space around us, and visualizing our Guru and aspect of Shakyamuni Buddha in the space in front, surrounded by, you can think of all the other Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Thinking about the good qualities of the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, and wishing to develop those qualities within our own mind stream. Then we take refuge and generate bodhicitta. So again, please recite out loud. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my practice of giving and the other perfections, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my practice of giving and the other perfections, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my merit of giving and the other perfections, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Okay, so next we do the seven-limb prayer. So many of you will already be familiar with this. So just think that, not just reciting the words, but try to meditate a bit on the actual meaning of each of the seven limbs. So reverently, I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind. I present clouds of every type of offering, actual and imagined. I declare all my negative actions accumulated since beginningless time. So here, this is actually very important so that our recitation of the sutra becomes a purification practice. We need to apply the four opponent powers. So just take a moment to think about all the negative actions maybe that you did last year, and seeing the drawbacks of having, committed those types of actions, developing a very strong mind that wishes to turn away from doing that kind of behavior in the future. And then next, we rejoice in the merit of all holy and ordinary beings. So also many of you will know, but rejoicing means to generate a joyful mind when we think about the merit or the positive actions that either ourselves or other beings have done. So just when you think about the merits or the positive deeds that you've done, or the positive deeds of others, just generate a mind that thinks how wonderful it is. Okay, please remain until the end of cyclic existence and turn the wheel of Dharma for living beings. I dedicate my own merits and those of all others to the great enlightenment. So next, the short mandala offering. So I think many of you know, but in case you don't, the mandala in this context just means everything that is beautiful and attractive in the entire universe. So we are offering everything in the universe that's beautiful, attractive, pleasing to the eye, to our Guru, who we see as inseparable from Shakyamuni Buddha. This ground anointed with perfume, streaming flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, four continents, sun and the moon, I imagine as a Buddha field and offer it. May all living beings enjoy this pure land. Now the special request for the three great purposes. I prostrate and go for refuge to the Guru and three precious gems. Please bless my mind. I'm requesting you to immediately pacify all the wrong conceptions from incorrect devotion to the Guru up to the subtle view of the light, red and dark visions that exist in my mind and the minds of all my listening beings. I'm requesting you to immediately generate all the right realizations from Guru devotion up to enlightenment in my mind and the minds of all my listening beings. I'm requesting you to pacify all outer and inner obstacles to actualizing the entire graduated path to enlightenment in my mind and in the minds of all my listening beings. I prostrate and go for refuge to the Guru and the three precious gems. Please bless my mind. I'm requesting you to immediately pacify all the wrong conceptions from incorrect devotion to the Guru up to the subtle view of the white, red, and dark visions that exist in my mind and the mind of all my listening beings. I'm requesting you to immediately generate all the right realizations from Guru devotion up to enlightenment in my mind and the minds of all my listening beings. I'm requesting you to pacify all outer and inner obstacles to actualizing the entire graduated path to enlightenment in my mind and in the minds of all my listening beings. I prostrate. Did I do the last one? I'm requesting you to pacify all the outer and inner obstacles to actualize the entire graduated path to enlightenment in my mind and the mind of all the listening beings. I prostrate and go for refuge to the Guru and three precious gems. Please bless my mind. I'm requesting you to immediately pacify all the wrong conceptions from incorrect devotion to the Guru up to the subdue view of the white, red, and dark visions that exist in my mind and the minds of all my listening beings. I'm requesting you to immediately generate all the right realizations from Guru devotion up to enlightenment in my mind and the minds of all my listening beings. I'm requesting you to pacify all outer and inner obstacles to actualizing the entire graduated path to enlightenment in my mind and in the minds of all my listening beings. So you can think that, this mandala that we visualized, it's not just one, but actually on every atom of the entire universe is one of these mandalas, which in itself is a representation of the entire universe. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kam Niratayami. Okay, so now we recite this mantra to multiply the merit by 1,000,000. Tayata om dare dare bendare soa. 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 Tayata om dare dare bendare soha. Okay, and so here again, two ways to visualize. So you can visualize that the Buddha is giving you the teaching while you read the sutra, and you actualize the realizations in your heart as you're reciting. And then you can also, when reciting, visualize that you're giving the teachings to sentient beings as you read the sutra out loud. Since dogs, birds, cats, spirits, and others can hear you as you recite, you can invite the spirits and devas to listen as well. Okay. And then when you read the sutra, visualize you're giving teachings to all the beings of the six realms, offering them the opportunity to actualize the path and be liberated from their delusions, defilements, karma, and suffering. Okay, and then as we finish, well, we'll talk about that when we finish, okay? Okay, so let's turn now to the Vajra Cutter Sutra itself. Okay. So I'm going to recite a little bit quickly, okay? So don't worry, okay? When we recite in the monasteries, we sometimes will have pujas where all the monks try to recite the whole kangyur or all of the sutras, all 108 volumes of the sutras within just 3 sessions in the day. So what they actually do is, those big, thick pechas, many of you might have seen, right? The big, thick pechas, right? They're not bound. They're kind of rectangular, right? So then they'll pass out just pages of the sutra. And then you're given a stack of, 15, 20 pages, and then you just recite as quickly as you can. And then when you're done, you ask the person next to you to, give you more. And then in that way, the entire kangyur, all the sutras can be, finished in a day or maybe a couple days like that. Okay? All right. So remember, please recite out loud. Refresh your bodhicitta motivation. Oh, and it's probably worth mentioning, we were dedicating or motivating in a general way for the benefit of all sentient beings. But I think it's also good that we sort of motivate and dedicate also for all of the holy gurus, particularly His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Lama Zopa Rinpoche, for all of the obstacles for them to, continue to guide us and teach us, for all those obstacles to be removed, for all the obstacles, for all the various projects of our holy gurus, all the projects of the FPMT, all the projects that His Holiness the Dalai Lama is undertaking, all their tremendous work that they're doing to benefit sentient beings and the Dharma, for all those obstacles to also be removed. Okay. The Vajra Cutter Sutra, in the language of India, Vajracchedikā Prajñāpāramitā Sutra, in Tibetan, Papa Shereki Parudu Chimpa Doji Chupa Shejawa Tekpa Chimpu Do, in English, the Exalted Mahayana Sutra on the wisdom gone beyond, called the Vajra Cutter. A prostrate to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Let's sit here one time. The Bhagavan was dwelling at Shravasti in the grove of Prince Jeta, in the garden of Dada, together with a great sangha of bhikshus of 1,250 bhikshus and a great many bodhisattvas. Then in the morning, having put on the lower and upper dharma robes and carried the begging bowl, the Bhagavan entered the great city of Shravasti to request alms. Then having gone to the great city of Shravasti to request alms, the Bhagavan afterward enjoyed the alms food, and having performed the activity of food, since he had given up the alms of later food, put away the begging bowl and the upper robe. He washed his feet, sat upon the prepared cushion, and having assumed the cross-legged posture, straightened the body upright and put its mindfulness in front. Then many bhikshus approached to the place where the Bhagavan was, and having reached there, bowing their heads to the Bhagavan's feet, circumambulated 3 times and sat to one side. Also at that time, the Venerable Subhuti, joining that very assembly, sat down. Then the Venerable Subhuti rose from the seat, placed the upper robe over one shoulder, set his right knee on the ground, bowed, joining the palms toward the Bhagavan, and said this to the Bhagavan: Bhagavan, the extent to which the Tathagata, or perfectly enlightened Buddha, has benefited the Bodhisattvas with the highest benefit, the extent to which the Tathagata has entrusted the Bodhisattvas with the highest entrustment. Bhagavan, is astonishing. Sugata is astonishing. Bhagavan, how should one who has correctly entered the Bodhisattva's vehicle abide? How practice? How control the mind? That was said in the Bhagavan said to the Venerable Subhuti. Subhuti, well said, well said. Subhuti, it is so, it is so. The Tathagata has benefited the Bodhisattvas with the highest benefit. The Tathagata has entrusted the Bodhisattvas with the highest entrustment. Subhuti, therefore, listen and properly retaining in mind, and I'll explain to you how one who has correctly entered the Bodhisattva's vehicle should abide, how practice, how control the mind. Having replied, Bhagavan, so be it. The Venerable Subhuti listened in accordance with the Bhagavan, and the Bhagavan said this: Subhuti, here, one who has correctly entered the Bodhisattva's vehicle should generate the mind of enlightenment, thinking this: as many as are included in the category of sentient beings, born from egg, born from womb, born from Eve, and emotion, born from accuracy, with form, without form, with discrimination, without discrimination, without discrimination, but not without subtle discrimination. The realm of sentient beings, as many as dedicated by imputation as sentient beings, all those I shall cause the path to pass completely beyond sorrow into the realms of nirvana without remainder of their grace. Though limitless sentient beings have thus been caused to pass completely beyond sorrow, no sentient being whatsoever has been caused to pass completely beyond sorrow. Why is that? So because of a Bodhisattva engaged in discriminating against any being is not to be called a Bodhisattva. Why is that? So if anyone engaged in discriminating against any being, or engaged in discriminating a living being, or engaged in discriminating a person, they are not to be called a Bodhisattva. But the Bodhisattva gives a gift without abiding in the thing, gives a gift without abiding in any phenomena whatsoever. A gift should be given, not abiding in visual form. A gift should be given, not abiding in sound, smell, taste, tactility, or phenomena either. Subhuti, without abiding in discrimination in anything whatsoever as any sign. Thus does a Bodhisattva give a gift. Why is that? Subhuti, because the Hebrew merit of that Bodhisattva who gives a gift without abiding. Subhuti, it is not easy to take the measure of. Subhuti, what do you think about this? Do you think that it is easy to measure? Take the measure of the space in the. Subhuti replied, Bhagavan, it is not so. The Bhagavan said, Subhuti, similarly, do you think it is easy to take the measure of the space in the south, west, north, above, below, intermediate directions, and the 10 directions? Subhuti replied, Bhagavan, it is not so. The Bhagavan says, Subhuti, similarly, the heap of merit of that Bodhisattva who gives gift without abiding is also not easy to take the measure of. Subhuti, what do you mean with this? Is one viewed as a Tathagata due to perfect marks? Subhuti replied, Bhagavan is not so. One is viewed as a Tathagata due to perfect marks. Why is that? Because that itself, which is called the Tathagata, has called perfect marks, are not perfect marks. He replied thus, and the Bhagavan said this to the Venerable Subhuti. To the degree they are perfect marks, to that degree there is deception. To the degree that there are no perfect marks, to that degree there is no deception. Thus view the Tathagata as marks and no marks. He said that in the Venerable Subhuti replied to the Bhagavan in the future period at the end of the 500, when the Holy Dharma will totally perish, will instantly being produced correct discrimination upon the words of the sutra, such as this being explained. The Bhagavan said, Subhuti, do not say what you have said in the future period at the end of the 500, when the Holy Dharma will totally perish, will instantly being produce correct discrimination upon the words of, such as this being explained. More of Subhuti, in the future period at the end of the 500, when the Holy Dharma totally perish, there will be Bodhisattva, Mahasattvas, and endowed qualities, endowed wisdom. Subhuti, those Bodhisattva, Mahasattvas, moreover, will not have made homage to just a single Buddha. They will not have produced roots of virtue to just a single Buddha. Subhuti, there will be Bodhisattva, Mahasattvas who have made homage to many hundreds of thousands of Buddhas and produced roots of virtue to many hundreds of thousands of Buddhas. Subhuti, those who will apply merely a single mind or faith upon the words of hearing, such uses as this being explained, Subhuti, known Subhuti, they are seen by the Tathagata Subhuti. All those Indians will produce and perfectly correct and infallible hearing it. Why is that, Subhuti? Because those Bodhisattva Mahasattvas will not engage in discriminating itself and will not discriminate a living, will not discriminate a living being, will not engage in discriminating a person. Subhuti, those Bodhisattva Mahasattvas will not engage in discriminating phenomena nor discriminating phenomena, nor will they engage in discrimination or non-discrimination. Why is that? Subhuti, because if the Bodhisattva Mahasattvas engage in discriminating a phenomenon, that itself would be of them grasping a self, and grasping a sentient being, grasping a living being, grasping a person. Because even if they engage in discriminating phenomena as non-existent, that would be of them grasping a self and grasping a sentient being, grasping a living being, grasping a person. Why is that? Subhuti, because the Bodhisattva should not wrongly grasp phenomena nor grasp non-phenomena. Therefore, thinking that the Tathagata said, if by those who know this Dharma treat it as like a boat, even Dharma should be given up. What need is there to mention no Dharmas? Further, the Bhagavan said to the Venerable Subhuti, Subhuti, what do you think about is that Dharma that was manifesting, realized by the Tathagata, unsurpassed, perfect, and complete enlightenment exists whatsoever? Has any Dharma been taught by the Tathagata? He said that in the Vedas. Subhuti replied to the Bhagavan, as I understand the meaning that was taught by the Bhagavan, that Dharma that was manifesting, completely realized by the Tathagata, unsurpassed, perfect, and complete enlightenment does not exist whatsoever. That Dharma that was taught by the Tathagata does not exist whatsoever. Why is that? Because any Dharma manifestly and completely realized or taught by the Tathagata is not to be grasped, not to be expressed. It is not Dharma, nor is it non-Dharma. Why is that? Because our beings are differentiated by the incompounded. The Bhagavan said, Subhuti, what do you think about this? If some sun and wind and dark completely denying this billion fold world system with the 7 types of precious things for to give gifts, do you think that sun and wind and dark would produce an immense heap of merit on that basis? Subhuti replied, Bhagavan immense, Suvata immense, that sun and wind and dark would produce an immense heap of merit on that basis. Why is that, Bhagavan? Because that very heap of merit is not a heap. Therefore, the Tathagata says heap of merit. The Bhagavan says, Subhuti, compared to any sound range of others who completely failing this billion-fold wishes and sometimes the precious thing, but it gives if someone having taken even one sense of 4 lines from this discourse of Dhamma also were to explain it and correctly and thoroughly teach it to others on that basis, the human producer would be much greater, incalculable, unfathomable. Why is that? Subhuti, because the unsurpassed, perfectly complete enlightenment of the Sattva are perfectly complete what arises from it. The Buddha Bhagavan is also produced by it. Why is that? Subhuti, because the Buddha Dhammas called Buddha Dhammas are those Buddha Dhammas taught by the Tathagata is non-existent. Therefore, they are called Buddha Dhammas. Subhuti, what do you think about this? Does the stream enter thing I have attained the result of stream enter. Subhuti replied, Bhagavan is not so. Why is that, Bhagavan? Because one does not enter into anything whatsoever. Therefore, one is called stream enter. One has not entered into form, nor entered into sound, nor entered into smell, nor into taste, nor into tactility, nor entered into a phenomenon. Therefore, one is called stream enter, Bhagavan. If that stream enter were to think I've attained the result of stream enter, that itself would be grasping that as a self, grasping as a sentient being, grasping as a living being, grasping as a person. The Bhagavan said, Subhuti, what do you think about this? Does the once returner think I have attained the result of once returner? Subhuti, Bhagavan is not so. Why is that? Because the phenomena of entry into the state of once returner does not exist whatsoever. Therefore, one says once returner. The Bhagavan says, Subhuti, what do you think about this? Does the non-returner think I have attained the result of non-returner? Subhuti replied, Bhagavan, so why is that? Because the phenomena of entry into the state of non-returner does not exist whatsoever. Therefore, one says non-returner. The Bhagavan said, Subhuti, this is the hard thing I have attained, the result of hardship. Subhuti replied, Bhagavan is not so. Why is that? Because the phenomena that called arhat does not exist whatsoever. Bhagavan, if the arhat were to think I have attained the result of hardship, that itself would be grasping of that as a self, grasping as a sinning, grasping as a person. Bhagavan, I was declared about the Tathagata, perfectly complete Buddha, as the foremost of those who Bhagavan, Bhagavan, I am an arhat. Free of attachment, but Bhagavan, I do not think that I am an arhat. Bhagavan, if I were to think I have attained a hardship, the Tathagata would not have made the prediction about me, saying the son of the Subhuti is the foremost of those who abide without affliction, since not abiding in anything whatsoever, he abides without affliction, he abides without affliction. The Bhagavan said, Subhuti, what do you think about this? Does that dharma that was received by the Tathagata from the Tathagata, perfectly completed Buddha, different cry exists whatsoever? Subhuti replied, Bhagavan is not so that dharma that was received by the Tathagata from the Tathagata, perfectly completed different cry does not exist whatsoever. The Bhagavan said, Subhuti, if some Bodhisattva were to say, I shall actualize arranged fields, they would speak untruly. Why is that? Subhuti, because arranged fields are called arranged fields. Those arrangements are as non-existent, therefore they are called arranged fields. Subhuti, therefore the Bodhisattva thus should generate the mind without abiding, should generate the mind, not abiding in anything. They should generate the mind, not abiding in form. They should generate the mind, not abiding in sound, smell, taste, activity, or phenomena. Subhuti is like this. If, for example, the body of a being were to become thus, would it become like this big as sumo became Mount Subhuti? What do you think about this? Would that body be large? Would that body be big? Subhuti will that when that body be big, Sugata, that body be big. Why is that? Because it is taught by the Tathagata as not being a thing, therefore it's called the body. Since it is taught by the Tathagata as not being a thing, therefore it is called a big body. Bhagavan says, Subhuti, what do you think about this? If there were also just as many Ganges River, the grains of sand, river Ganges wood, there Ganges of sand, be many Subhuti Bhagavan. If those very Ganges River, many don't need to mention. There grains of sand, the Bhagavan says, Subhuti, you should appreciate, you should understand if some men and women completely feeling of the seven kinds of precious things with that many wishes and the grains of sand, were to offer that to the Tathagata, Subhuti, what do you think about this? Would that man or woman produce much merit on that basis? Subhuti replied, Bhagavan much to that much that man or woman produce much merit on that basis, the Bhagavan said. Subhuti compared to someone who completely failing that many world systems with the seven types of precious things were to give gifts to the Tathagata. If someone having taken these sense of four lines from this discourse of them were to explain it correctly and thoroughly teach it to others, on that basis, the merit itself would produce would be much greater. Furthermore, if at whatever place on earth, even a stanza of four lines from this discourse on Dharma is taught or recited or taught, that place on earth is a real shine of the whole world where devils, humans, and a source. One need to mention that whoever takes up this discourse of Dharma, memorizes, reads, understands, and probably takes the mind, will be most astonishing. At that place on earth where the teacher resides, all other levels of gurus also abide. He said that when was Bhagavan, what is the name of this discourse of Dharma? How should we know this? And then Bhagavan was the name of this Dharma discourse is the wisdom Bhagavan. It should be remembered like that. Why is that Subhuti? Because the very same wisdom Bhagavan is taught by the Tathagata is not gone beyond. Therefore, it is called wisdom gone beyond. Subhuti, what do you think about this? Does the Dharma that is taught by the Tathagata exists wisdom? Subhuti, the Bhagavan, the Dharma that is taught by the Tathagata does not exist whatsoever. The Bhagavan said, Subhuti, what do you think about this? Other quantities and particles of earth that exist in the being fold world system many. Subhuti replied, Bhagavan, particles of earth are many. Sugata, there are many. Why is that, Bhagavan? Because that which is a particle of earth was taught by the Tathagata as not being a particle. Therefore, it is called particle of earth. That which is a world system was taught by the Tathagata as not being a world system. Therefore, it's called a world system. Bhagavan said, Subhuti, what do you think about this? It is one to be viewed as a Tathagata perfectly complete Buddha due to those 32 marks of a great being. Shruti replied, Bhagavan, and that is not so. Why is that? Bhagavan, because those 32 marks of a great being that are taught by the Tathagata is no mark, therefore they are called 32 marks of the Tathagata. Bhagavan said, for this would be compared with some man who giving a bodies, numbering the grains of time against someone taking earrings and stands of four lines from this discourse of Dharma also were to teach it to others, they would produce on that basis many great merits and incalculable, unfathomable. Therefore, thereupon the Venerable Subhuti, to the impact of the Dharma shed tears, having wiped away the tears, he replied to the Bhagavan, this discourse on Dharma, taught thus by the Sattva Bhagavan, is astonishing. Sukata is astonishing, Bhagavan. Since my production of exalted wisdom, I have never Before her, this discourse on Dharma Bhagavan, those enemies who will produce discrimination upon him, and this sutra being explained will be most astonishing. Why is that Bhagavan? Because that which is discrimination is not discrimination, therefore correct discrimination was taught by the Tathagata as saying, correct discrimination, Bhagavan. Upon this Dharma discourse being explained, that I imagine and appreciate is not astonishing to me. Bhagavan in the final time, in the final age of the end of the 500, those enemies who take up this Dharma discourse, memorize, read, and recite will be most astonishing. For them along, they will not engage in discriminating self-will, not engage in discriminating, discriminating, discriminating. Why is that? Bhagavan, because that is which is discrimination, is not discrimination, discriminating, and discrimination in the person, not discrimination. Why is that? Because the Buddha Bhagavans are free of all discrimination. He said in the Bhagavan replied to the Venerable Subhuti, it is so. Upon this sutra being explained, those enemies who are unafraid, unterrified, will not become terrified, will be most astonishing. Why is that Subhuti? Because this highest wisdom gone beyond top of the highest wisdom gone beyond that is top of the unfathomable Buddha Bhagavans, therefore it is called highest wisdom gone beyond. Further, Subhuti, that is which is the patience of the patience gone beyond the tirthika has not gone beyond wise Subhuti, because when the king of feeling of God limbs and abundance is not that time there did not arise any discrimination, self-discrimination, discrimination, and living being. Discrimination as a person in me, there was no discrimination whatsoever, yet there was also no non-discrimination. Why is that Subhuti? Because if at that time there had arisen in me discrimination itself, there would also have arisen in me discrimination as if there had arisen in discrimination as an discrimination as a person at that time there would have also arisen in discrimination as Subhuti. I know with clairvoyance that in the past period during 500 time I was which is called purification. Even then, there did not arise in me discrimination myself, did not arise in discrimination, any being discrimination, divisions of Buddha, therefore the Buddha. Sattva Mahasava completely abandoning all discrimination should generate the mind for unsurpassed privilege. One should generate the mind, not abiding in form, one should generate the mind, not abiding in sound, smell, taste, activity, or phenomena, one should generate the mind, not abiding in phenomena either. One should generate the mind, not abiding in anything whatsoever. Why is that? Because that itself which is abiding does not abide. Therefore, the Tathagata taught the Bodhisattva should give gifts not abiding. For the Bodhisattva, the Bodhisattva should thus totally give away gifts for the welfare of all sinning beings. However, that itself which is discrimination is sinning beings is non-discrimination. Those themselves who were top of the Tathagata saying all sinning beings also do not exist. Why is that? Simply because the Tathagata teaches reality, teaches truth, teaches what is. The Tathagata teaches what is without a further subtlety. The Dharma that is manifested to be realized as one that has and the truth of the subtlety, like this, or that will. If man realizes that in the body, he doesn't see anything whatsoever. Likewise, one should be the Bodhisattva who totally gives up the divine, not falling into anything. Subtlety is like this. For example, upon dawn and the sun rising, man realizes his face comes. Likewise, one should be the Bodhisattva who totally gives up the divine, not falling into anything. For Subhuti, those who take up this Dharma discourse, memorize, read, understand it correctly, and truly teach it to others in detail are known by the seen by all those scenarios will produce an infallible human merit. For the Subhuti, compared to some man or moon at time of dawn, totally giving a body number. The grains of sand of the Ganges also totally giving a body's number, the grains of sand of the Ganges at the time of the evening. In such a number totally giving about many hundred thousands of 10 million, 100 billion. If someone having heard this Dharma and discourse will not reject it, they themselves will produce a much greater merit on the basis incalculable, unfathomable. What need to imagine someone who having written a letter takes it up, memorized, reads, understands, then quickly and thoroughly teaches it to realize in detail for the simplicity this Dharma discourse is unimaginable and comparable. This Dharma discourse was taught by the Sattva for the benefits of the beings who correctly entered into the supreme vehicle for the welfare of the beings who have correctly entered into the best vehicle. Those who take up this time to memorize, read, understand correctly, and thoroughly teach others in detail, known by the time they are single, all those enemies will be endowed with unfathomable human merit. Being endowed with unimaginable human merit, incomparable, immeasurable, limitless, all those enemies will hold my enlightenment on their shoulder. Why is that? Subhuti, this time of discourse is unable to be heard by those who appreciate the inferior, by those who view himself, by those viewing his enemy, by those viewing a living being, those viewing a person around to hear, to take up, to memorize, to read, and to understand, because that cannot be. For the Buddha, whatever place on earth this sutra is taught, that place on earth become worthy to be paid homage by the world with the devas, humans, and asurs. That place on earth we become worthy as an object of frustration and worthy as an object of supreme revelation. That place on earth will become like a shrine. Subhuti, whatever son mistakes of these words of a situation like this, memorize reasonings, and they will become and will be determined. Why is that? Subhuti, because whatever non-virtuous actions of all human lifetimes that work and made of others and beings would bring rebirth in the lower realms to determine this world as old non-virtuous actions formally they will also attain enlightenment of a Buddha. Subhuti, I know with everyone's in the past period in even more countless scenes, much beyond even beyond the Tathagata, I had perfectly completed Buddha given kata. There were 8400 thousands of 10 million, 100 billion Buddhas whom I pleased, and having pleased did not upset. Subhuti, from whatever I did, having pleased did not upset those Buddha Bhagavans in the future period at the end of the 500. Someone taking up this sutra, memorized, reading, and understanding Subhuti, compared to this even though the former heap of does not approach even a hundredth part, a thousandth part, 100,000 part does not withstand enumeration, measure, calculation, similarity, equivalence, or comparison. Subhuti at that time. The sons of Ninja see the quantity of Hebrew man that if I were to express the Hebrew man, the sons of Ninja, the sinning beings would go mad, would be disturbed. For the Subhuti Islamic discourse, being unimaginable maturation indeed should also be known as unimaginable. Then the Venerable Subhuti replied to the Bhagavan, how should one who is correctly enter the Bodhisattva's vehicle about how practice, how and control the mind? The Bhagavan says, Subhuti, here one who has correctly entered the Bodhisattva's vehicle should generate the mind thinking as I shall cause all sinning beings to pass completely down so into the remainder of the aggregates. Although sinning beings were caused to pass completely down so like that, no sinning being whatsoever was caused to pass beyond sorrow. Why is that? Subhuti, because if a Bodhisattva engages in discrimination as sinning being, he is not to be called a Bodhisattva. Also, if he engages in discriminating a person, he is not to be called a Bodhisattva. Why is that? Subhuti, because the Dharma call one who has correctly entered the Bodhisattva's vehicle does not exist whatsoever. Subhuti, what do you think about this? Does that Dharma doesn't manifest completely realized by the Tathagata from the Tathagata Jimuka unsurpassed perfect completely non exist whatsoever? He said in the Buddha Subhuti replied to the Bhagavan that Dharma that was taught by manifesting completely realized by the Tathagata from the Tathagata Jimuka unsurpassed perfect completely non does not exist whatsoever. He said in the Bhagavan replied to the Venerable Subhuti. Subhuti is so it is so that Dharma that was manifesting completely realized by the Tathagata from the Tathagata Jimuka unsurpassed perfectly does not exist whatsoever. Subhuti of that Dharma that was manifesting completely realized by the Tathagata wouldn't exist at all. The Tathagata Jimuka would not have made this prediction to me, saying, young Brahmin, if you should be, you will come to Tathagata named Shakyamuni, called Shakyamuni. Subhuti, that's the Dharma that was manifesting completely realized by the Tathagata unsurpassed perfectly does not exist whatsoever. Therefore, the Tathagata Jimuka made the prediction to me, saying, young Brahmin, if you should be, you will become the Tathagata Shakyamuni. Why is that? Because Subhuti, the Tathagata is an epithet of the suchness of reality. Subhuti, if someone was manifestly and completely realized and surpassed they would speak wrongly. Why is that? Subhuti, because that Dharma that was manifestly completely realized by the Tathagata unsurpassed perfectly and does not exist whatsoever. Subhuti, that Dharma that was manifestly completely realized by the Tathagata has neither truth nor falsity. Therefore, all dharmas are Buddha dharmas was taught by the Tathagata. Subhuti, all dharmas, all those are non-dharmas. Therefore, it is said that all dharmas are Buddha dharmas. Subhuti is that, for example, like a human died with the body and the body became large. The Venerable Subhuti replied, Bhagavan, that taught by the Tathagata, human died with the body and a large body. Sabha the Tathagata is not being a body. Therefore, died with the body and large body, he said. Bhagavan said, Subhuti, it is so if some Bodhisattva were to say, I shall call sending beings who completely pass beyond sorrow, he should not be called the Bodhisattva. Why is that? Subhuti does the Dhamma that is called the Bodhisattva exists whatsoever. Subhuti without Bhagavan it does not. Bhagavan says Subhuti therefore is taught by the Tathagata that all dhammas are without a single being, without a living being, without a person. Subhuti, if some Bodhisattva will say, I shall actually arrange fields, he too should be expressed similarly. Why is that? Subhuti, because the materials are called materials are those taught by the Tathagata is not arranged, therefore they are called materials. Subhuti, whatever Bodhisattva appreciates dhammas are selfish. Saying dhammas are selfish, he is expressed by the Tathagata. Perfectly, but it was a Bodhisattva called Bodhisattva. Subhuti, what do you think of this? Does the Tathagata possess the flesh eye? Subhuti replied, Bhagavan, it is all the Tathagata possesses the flesh eye. The Bhagavan said, Subhuti, what do you think about this? This is Tathagata possesses the divine eye. Subhuti replied, Bhagavan, is so the Tathagata possesses the divine eye. Bhagavan said, Subhuti, what do you think about this? This is the Tathagata possesses the wisdom eye. The Subhuti replied, Bhagavan, is so the Tathagata possesses the wisdom eye. The Bhagavan said, Subhuti, what do you think about this? This is the Tathagata possesses the dharma eye. Subhuti replied, Bhagavan, is so the Tathagata possesses the dharma eye. Bhagavan said, Subhuti, what do you think about this? This is the Tathagata possesses the Buddha eye. Subhuti replied, Bhagavan, and so the Tathagata possesses the Buddha eye. The Bhagavan says, Subhuti, what do you think about this? There being also just as many Ganges, regular grains, as many Ganges. There were just as many world systems as there are grains of sand and rose. Were those world systems be many? Those world systems be many? Bhagavan says, Subhuti, as many as any beings as exist in those world systems, I totally know there can be consciousness of different thoughts. Why is that Subhuti? Because the so-called continuum of consciousness is that top of the Tathagata is an academic, therefore it's called a continuum of consciousness. Why is that Subhuti? Because past consciousness is not existence, nor does future consciousness exist as an observable, nor does present consciousness exist as an observable. Subhuti, what do you think about this? If someone completely filling this beautiful world system with the seven types of precious things, were to give gifts, do you think that son of an angel, diamond angel, produce an enormous heap of merit on that basis? So they replied, Bhagavan enormous, Sugata enormous. The Bhagavan said, so it is so, it is so. That's an lineage of that lineage will produce an enormous heap of merit on that basis. To believe if heap of merit were a heap of merit, that were not at all a heap of merit called a heap of merit. So what do you think about this? Should one be viewed as a due to the total achievement of one body? So they replied, Bhagavan is also one should not be viewed as due to the total achievement of one body. Why is that Bhagavan? Because the total achievement of one body is that taught by the Tathagata is not being a total achievement, therefore it is called total achievement of one body. Bhagavan says, this is one to be viewed as a due to very much. So they replied, Bhagavan is also one is going to be viewed as a Tathagata due to very much. Why is that? Because that which was taught by the Tathagata very much was taught by the Tathagata as not being perfect marks, therefore they are called perfect marks. Okay. If you need to take a drink of water, good to keep your throat hydrated. The Bhagavan says, Subhuti, what do you think about this? If it is not that the Tathagata considers the Dhamma demonstrated by me, Subhuti, do not view it like that. Because the Dhamma that is demonstrated by the Tathagata does not exist whatsoever. Subhuti, if someone were to say the Dhamma demonstrated by the Tathagata, Subhuti, here that means is not exists, was that Subhuti, because that demonstrated Dhamma called demonstrated Dhamma, which is referred to saying demonstrated Dhamma does not exist whatsoever. Then the Subhuti said to the Bhagavan in the future period, will there be any sinner being who, having heard this demonstration of Dhamma, says this, will clearly believe? Bhagavan says, Subhuti, they are not sinning beings nor non-sinning beings, was that Subhuti. So-called sinning beings, they were taught by the non-sinning beings, therefore all called sinning beings. Subhuti, when it means that Dhamma was manifesting completely, that's why as far as perfect and completely, and exists whatsoever, and Subhuti realized Bhagavan that Dhamma was manifesting completely, realized by the and as far as perfect and Bhagavan says, but it is so for it. Even the least Dhamma does not exist and is not observed, therefore it is called unsurpassed, perfect, and complete, and unmade. Subhuti, that Dhamma is cognizance for it. Inequivalence does not exist for selfless. Equivalent as selfless without sinning being, without living being, without person is manifesting completely realized through all virtues and Subhuti various dharmas. Call virtues and they talk about non-dharmas. There are therefore called virtues dharmas. Subhuti compared to any single dharma means collecting a heap of these sometimes virtues things about even whatever sumo king amount exists in a billion words and giving this. If someone having taken up universal exams of 4 months from this wisdom on board to teach others, Subhuti compared to human reformer, human merit, having not approached even 100th part does not withstand comparison. Subhuti, what do you think about this? If it is thought that the Tathagata considers human beings are the Buddha Brahmins, do not view like that. Why? Because those human beings who are the Buddha does not exist whatsoever. Subsidy of any being would be debate about the Tathagata himself would be of the Buddha. Grasping is grasping the single being, grasping the living being, grasping the person subsidy so called. Grasping itself, that itself, that is other non grasping. Yet that is grasping childish human beings. Subsidy so-called childish human beings, they as just non-beings. Therefore, they are called childish human beings. Subsidy is one to be viewed as a duty very much. Subsidy replied, Bhagavan is not so one is not to be, not one is not viewed as the like of the performance. Bhagavan says, Subhuti so one is not viewed as the like of due to performance. Subhuti, if one were viewed as the Tathagata due to performance, even a Chakravatan king would be the Tathagata. Therefore, one is not to be viewed as the Tathagata due to performance. Then the Venerable Subhuti said to the Bhagavan, as I understand the meaning of what the Bhagavan has said, one is not viewed as the duty of performance. Then these verses were spoken by the Bhagavan at that time. Whoever sees me as form, whoever knows me as sound, has wrongly engaged by abandoning those beings who do not see me. The Buddhas are Dharmata viewed. The guides are the Dharmakaya. Since Dharmata is not to be known, it is unable to be known. So, what do you think about this? One guides the Tathagata are perfectly Buddha is due to very much. So, Buddha, you should not view it. You should not view so for. Subhuti the Tathagata perfect does not manifest in complete realize unsurpassed. Perfect and complete enlightenment due to very much Subhuti. If one grasps that some Dharma has been designated as destroyed or annihilated by those who have correctly entered the Bodhisattva's vehicle. Subhuti, it should not be viewed as so those who have correctly entered the Bodhisattva's vehicle have not designated any Dharma whatsoever as destroyed or annihilated. Further, Subhuti compared to any Zenolins or Dalins who could be filling with seven kinds of precious things, as many verses in the grains of sand Ganges, ridiculous if any Bodhisattva attained forbearance, that dharmas are selfless and unproduced. On that basis, the heap of merit they will themselves will produce much greater. For the sympathy, heap of merit should not be acquired by the Bodhisattva. The Royal Sympathy replied, Bhagavan, should not a heap of merit be acquired by the Bodhisattva? Bhagavan said, sympathy acquired not wrongly grasped, therefore it is called acquired. Sympathy, if someone says that the goes or comes or senses or like that, he does not understand the meaning explained by me. Why is that sympathy? Because the one this does not go anywhere, nor has come from anywhere. Therefore, one says that Tathagata, Arhat, perfectly Buddha. For the sympathy, if some ceremonies or dogmas were to render as many atoms of earth as exist in a big origin, like this, for example, into powder, like a collection of cellulose atoms, sympathy would run this would that collection of cellulose atoms be many. Subhuti replied, Bhagavan is so that collection of cellulose atoms will be many. Why is that become Bhagavan? Because if there were a collection, the Bhagavan would not have said the collection of cellulose atoms. Why is that? Because that collection of cellulose atoms that was taught by the Bhagavan was taught by the Tathagata has no collection. Therefore, one says collection of cellulose atoms that before that was taught by the Tathagata was taught by the Tathagata has no system. Therefore, one says before was system was that Bhagavan. Because if there were to be a wisdom that itself would be grasping of something that was taught by the Tathagata's grasping of something was taught by the Tathagata's no grasping. Therefore, one says grasping of something. The Bhagavan says the grasping of something is itself a convention. That Dharma doesn't exist as expressed yet. It is grasped by childish ordinary childish beings. So if someone is viewing himself as Tathagata is viewing Sitting being viewing as a living viewing as a person was Sabbath would that be spoken by speech to Buddha reply Bhagavan or not? Soon that it would not. Why is that Bhagavan? Because that which was Sabbath Tathagata is viewing as itself was Sabbath Tathagata is no viewing, therefore one says viewing itself. The Bhagavan replies, Buddhi, those who quickly enter the Buddha's vehicle should know, should appreciate all times like this. They should appreciate like this, not abiding whatsoever in any discrimination as a Dharma. Why is that? Subhuti, because the discrimination as a Dharma called to me, the Dharma is taught by the Tathagata is non-discrimination. Therefore, one says discrimination as a Dharma. For the Subhuti, compared to any Bodhisattva, Mahasatva who completely feeling unfathomable and incalculable worlds, system seven kinds of precious things, with the yes, if any sound lineage or dollar lineage who Having taken as a little stanza of 4 lines from this version, wisdom or to memorize or read or understand correctly and thoroughly teaches others in detail on that basis. The man he himself will produce would be more incapable and fathomable. How should one correctly and thoroughly teach, just as how one would not correctly and thoroughly teach, therefore one says correctly and thoroughly teach. As a star, visual aberration, a lamp, an illusion, dew, a bubble, a dream, lightning, and a cloud. View all the compounded like that. That having been said by the Bhagavan, the other those Bodhisattvas, the fourfold disciples, bhikshunis, upasakas, and upasikas, and the worldless devas, humans, asuras, and gandharvas, overjoyed, highly praised, that taught by the Bhagavan. These are the Mahayana Sutra on the wisdom gone beyond, called the Vajra Cutter, is concluded. Okay, so now let us go to the Vajra Cutter dedication by Nipa Rinpoche. And turn to page 2 in that. So it says after this, one, oh, oh, sorry. It says after this one can recite the Diamond Cutter Sutra mantra, but we're going to do that first. Okay, at the bottom of the page. The bottom of page 2. Okay, that mantra. Namo Bhagavati Prajñāpāramitā Om Na Tat Tatita Ilishi Milishi Binayan Namo Bhagavati Pratayanang Prati Iridi Miridi Shiridi Ushiri Buye Swaha. Okay. So now, please go back to the dedication chakra, another file, the dedication chakra sutra file. Okay. Om Gadara Vidara Soha Ratna Shakona Tatagataya Apratihata Shasanam Om Kaka Kai Hun Zola Tiket Ta Tita Pepe Soha. Okay. So back to the Vajra Cutter dedication by Nipa Rinpoche. So I think, before we do that, actually, let's go to the preliminaries to sutra reading, right? And we're on the last page. Sorry, Shanti, you're doing a great job. The preliminaries to sutra reading. Anyway, I'll just read it for you, right? So then when we finish the recitation, we visualize that all the sentient beings to whom we were reciting the sutra are all liberated from the causes of suffering. Their causes of the delusions are purified and they all become enlightened. So we can just rest in that kind of awareness for a little while. And rejoice. Okay. So now we'll go back to the Vajra Cutter dedication by Mipham Rinpoche. Okay, no screen sharing. All right. In this world with its devas, to the founder who, with a roaring sound of a snow lion, proclaimed the talk of dependently connected arising, I respectfully prostrate. The son of the king, abiding majestically in the temple, in the midst of an assembly of virtue beggars, and those intending virtue, handed over this Dharma to the holy holder of the Dharma, Kungawo, with great emphasis, proclaiming the definite meaning with the defining words. Even if all the Dharma is forgotten, don't forget this one. It is said by the Buddha that writing or reading one word of the Prajñāpāramitā has greater benefit than making offerings to all the Buddhas for 1,010 million eons. Why is it like that? The only remedy, extremely powerful in directly cutting the root of all the mistakes in this world, ignorance, is the holy Dharma, the Dharma supreme of all the teachings, the ultimate part of the Prajñāpāramitā. Having written, read, and made offerings to the supreme Dharma of all the Buddhist teachings, the heart of the Prajñāpāramitā, the ultimate one, the sutra called the diamond cutter, may it cut the continuity of the sickness and harms of black magic, evil sea, obstacles, and so forth, and increase the life and wealth. May whatever wishes spontaneously be accomplished according to the holy Dharma. Due to the merits and the imprint of having listened to the sutra and having read it at this time, in all future lives may I and all sentient beings who have a connection with me be able to hear, reflect, and meditate on this profound sutra. May I become exactly like the life stories of Sharipu and Moggallana. The minute one hears the words and meaning of the Prajñāpāramitā Dhammapada Sutra, able to have the words and meaning within one's understanding and achieve the result. By the virtue of having read this profound sutra, may I directly perceive the truth and liberate in that second all the transmigratory beings equal in the sky from the great ocean of samsaric suffering. Not grasping as mere emptiness, by seeing that the meaning of emptiness is dependent arising, while the mind is in that emptiness, free from creativity, which is mental fabrication projecting true existence, enjoy the view of emptiness only. Ascertain that the various appearances, the dual Dharma, are mere appearance. May I realize emptiness while there is appearance with a thought. Even though there is appearance, it is not true. By the eminent heart wisdom, without abiding in the extremes of samsara and peace, quickly proceeding on the five paths, may I become the guide of all the transmigratory beings. By this particular virtue and all of the virtues, may the Guru's holy lives be stable, and all the deeds and the actions of the victorious ones be accomplished by myself alone. May this holy Dharma, for which the founder, Guru Shakyamuni Buddha, while training in the path, gave up the holy body and all enjoyments and possessions, and accomplished the work only for sentient beings, last a long time. The victorious ones gave up lying for numberless eons, even at the cost of life, and spoke truthfully. By that blessing, may all the prayers be accomplished. Okay. So let's now just return to the COVID crisis teachings, the other dedications. Okay. Yes. Okay. So always when we dedicate, it's important to think that, we're not just dedicating the merit that we've generated in our time here today, but actually all the merit, not only accumulated by ourselves, but accumulated by all the numberless sentient beings and the numberless Buddhas for these various aims. Okay. So think that due to the merit accumulated by ourselves and the merit accumulated over 3 times by the numberless Buddhas and numberless sentient beings, May the precious supreme bodhicitta not yet born arise. May that arisen not decline, but increase more and more. Samsara and nirvana lack even an atom of inherent existence, and cause and effect independent, arising or betraying. I seek your blessings to discern the meaning of Nagarjuna's thought, that these two are mutually complementary and not contradictory. However many sick sentient beings there are, may they quickly be freed from all sicknesses. May all the sicknesses without exception of transmigratory beings never occur again. In all my lives, never separated from perfect gurus, may I enjoy the magnificent Dharma. And by completing the qualities of the grounds and paths, may I quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. By the force of the victorious one, Tsongkhapa, acting as my direct mind and virtuous friend in all our lives, may I never turn away, for even a second, from the pure path highly admired by the victorious ones. May I and all sentient beings meet the teachings of the victorious one, Losar, who lived an eminent life, endowed with pure morality, and a brave heart in doing the Bodhisattva's extensive deeds, and the yoga of the two stages, the supreme transcendental wisdom of non-dual bliss and emptiness. Like the earth, water, fire, and wind, medicines, and wood in the forest, may I always be enjoyed by all sentient beings as they like and without resistance. May I hold sentient beings as dear as my life. May sentient beings hold me most dear. May all their negative karma ripen on me, and may all my virtue ripen on them. As long as any sentient being has not been liberated from samsara, may I abide in samsara to help them, even though I achieve highest enlightenment. May I become like a wish-granting jewel, fulfilling all the wishes, and like a wish-granting tree, fulfilling all the hopes of transmigratory beings. By merely seeing, hearing, thinking about, or remembering me, as well as by touching me or talking to me, may all suffering instantly be pacified, and may there be happiness forever. Due to all the past, present, future merits collected by me, the numberless Buddhas and numberless sentient beings which are completely empty of existing from their own side, may I, who am completely empty of existing from my own side, achieve the state of full enlightenment, which is completely empty of existing from its own side, and lead all sentient beings who are completely empty of existing from their own side to that state, which is completely empty of existing from its own side by myself alone, who am completely empty of existing from my own side. I fully dedicate all these virtues to be able to train just like the hero Manjushri who knows reality, and just like Samantha Vajra as well. I fully dedicate all my roots of virtue with the dedication praises of the best by all the gone beyond victorious ones of the 3 times in order to have good conduct. For the Dharma King, Tsongkhapa's way of Dharma to flourish, may all signs of obstacles be pacified and all conducive conditions be complete. Due to the 2 types of merit of the 3 times by myself and others, may the teachings of the victorious one, Losar Drakpa, shine resplendent forever. Okay, so now for His Holiness Dalai Lama. The wish-granting, wish-fulfilling jewel, the source of every single benefit and happiness in this world, the incomparably kind Supreme Tenzin Gyatso, may you have a long life, and all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. You who uphold the subduer's moral way, who serve as the bountiful bearer of all, sustaining, preserving, spreading Manjunath's victorious doctrine, who masterfully accomplish magnificent prayers honoring the 3 sublime ones, savor of myself and others, your disciples, please, please live long. Okay, so there we go. Start off the new year right. Okay, so I hope all of you have read that sutra before. Whether you have or not, then if it's the case that some of those passages you're like, what's going on here? A big body is not a body, therefore it's called a big body. There's a couple of paradoxical passages in there. So today's session was just a recitation, and we went through how to recite. So it's in a more beneficial way with the various visualizations and so forth. But starting tomorrow and these next 2 days at the same time, we're going to actually go into a commentary on this sutra. So hopefully by the end of the course, you'll have a bit more understanding about the words contained in these sutras. So anyway, thank you very much for coming. If you are not signed up for the course, then please, you can join us for the recitation of the sutra on subsequent days. I think we're doing these a couple times in the week. Shanti has sent out the schedule for that. And we are splitting up the recitation so people in different time zones have the opportunity to join in live. Okay, so here I see some, well, we have the west coast of North America. I see some people in India and yeah, Bali. So then we're also going to do, so maybe some people in Europe can join live. Anyway, Happy New Year to all of you. Losar tashile. And thank you very much. And we'll see you very soon. Okay? Be well. Oh, sorry. Bit of advertising. So as we mentioned, these 15 days, the days of miracle is, unbelievable benefit in terms of them being 100 million merit multiplying days. So if you have not already, then you could please consider taking the Mahayana precepts for these 15 days. I think many of you know about the Mahayana precepts. Yes? So very, very, very good to do so. Yeah, so a little bit of advertising. And then by all means, take advantage by doing a little bit extra practice for these next 15 days. Of course, we have these sessions, but don't limit your practice to what we can do together on a Zoom group. So try in your own place to put a little bit more effort in your practice for these coming 2 weeks. Okay. All right. Namaste, Tashile, and we'll see you very soon.
Thank you all.
Okay. Thank you all.
You too.